My name is Tracy Pratt, and I have a background in librarianship at both the high school and the university level. And I went to this exciting conference about increasing in student engagement in library instruction. And we get in there, and I'm all ready to get started. And we listen to people read PowerPoints all day long. I started out disappointed. And then I got bored. And then by the end of the day, I was bitter. It was a complete waste of time. I got nothing out of it. And I thought, what is the irony that instruction librarians on student engagement could not practice what they preach? That's why the focus of this talk is student-centered learning. It is something I'm very passionate about, and anyone who's even sat through some of the boring professional development that we all have to do as educators can kind of understand where the students are coming from because they're doing it all day long, every day, not just once in a while. So the learning pyramid is something that I'm sure people are already familiar with, but participatory teaching methods are ones where students retain information, where they engage with the content, and where they can master concepts and skills and demonstrate that mastery versus you talking or reading your PowerPoint, which is what a lot of lectures are. One I like this graphic because it's comparing Bloom's taxonomy with the learning pyramid. You can see they're very closely related. We already know a lot about Bloom's. We've been talking about it for years, where the highest levels are analysis, evaluation, and creation. And you can see how closely that would relate into the same ideas of student mastery. But the challenge is to do this every day, not at the end of an assessment unit or over the course of 3 weeks and you give them one little project. This is something you want to incorporate on a day-to-day basis. So I want to talk about a couple of ideas that I really enjoy and that I think could be very effective, although there's literally thousands of ideas out there. Some you're already familiar with and probably don't even think about in terms of this is student-centered learning. So to start with, I wanted to just talk about the flipped classroom, and that's where the students engage with the materials before they come into your room. So in a traditional classroom, you spend the period lecturing or talking to them, and then they might have some independent practice at the end of the class. Whereas the flipped classroom, they already get the lecture, the video, the text, the whatever the content is front loaded so that when they walk into your classroom, then they are immediately engaged in an activity. You are on the side, the guide on the side, instead of the sage on the stage. And this is something, obviously, where students are highly engaged. So this is a wonderful option. Another kind of buzz type of idea or activity that's come in the last several years is the idea of the Genius Hour. And that's giving students 20% of classroom instruction time to do a self-directed project. So it's innovation, it's creation. This is something that they are interested in and want to do. So the bonus of this is, of course, students who are interested in work and in the topic are going to be more engaged. Also, there's a lot of information out there, so it can go downhill, and there's some do's and don'ts, but it's all easily available online. So I thought this was pretty exciting, and I would encourage you to investigate it some more, and you can do it at the primary, at the middle school, and at the high school level. My personal favorite of all of these is project-based learning. I love doing project-based learning because to me, it always involves a component of research, which is what I do as a librarian is I teach research skills, how to find information, how to use information ethically. And so it gives students a choice, again, kind of like Genius Hour, but more but more constructed in doing what they are interested in. So within the topic of your class, so maybe it's Greek mythology, they can choose what they're interested in doing. And it doesn't have to be everybody does a different god. It can be um, how did Greek theater derive from understanding Greek mythology or the practice of the Greek religion of the period. So it can be almost anything, and it does all of these things as listed here. It's student voice. You can use technology rich presentation, you get feedback, you get real world demonstrations, and they have to answer for what they've learned. Another idea that I kind of ran across, and it's kind of been out there, but it's not really been pushed, is creating a wiki-centric classroom. This is a great platform. There's free wiki spaces out there that you can just sign up for. But this would be great for a school that has one-to-one or laptop, iPad laptop carts, so that students are putting their knowledge online. They create the content using whatever tools you want, whatever guidelines you want. You could put prompts and then they have to fill it in. You can have them work individually or by groups. I love this idea of integrating technology with content, which is kind of the whole point of technological integration, anyways. But also, it kind of gives them an understanding of how internet content is created in a lot of ways, and that there is no authority. Everything on the internet is not correct because, everyone makes mistakes and anybody can post content. So it's kind of like a double-sided activity, and where you can not only do it ongoing for the whole course, but, there's multiple levels of learning there. And then finally, and I know this is something that a lot of people are already interested in or are familiar with, I love the idea of a gallery walk. I love students getting up, walking around, and moving around. And you can have them in teams. You can just post it around the room and you can be math problems. It could be a physical exercise. It could be photographs or art. There's so many different ways that you can do it, depending on subject, depending on grade. It's really only limited by your imagination. And if you want to see student engagement, you know, get them up and moving and interacting with one another and your content, and you're going to see some results in terms. So it doesn't have to be, student-centered learning does not have to be this major intensive reformatting of your whole pedagogy. Maybe it's just a simple shift in focus. And anything that student engagement and student mastery of content, student voice and choice, as the one chart said, it's going to be a net gain for the students as well as the teachers.